Welcome everyone to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating, the very nature of the self. We're going to explore the heroic ideal, but not as your typical story of conquering external dragons. No, this is about confronting the most terrifying landscape of all, the landscape of absolute truth. So settle in, focus your minds, and let's cross this threshold together.
I want you to picture this right now. Imagine dropping directly into the dark, echoey stone halls of a sprawling ancient castle. It's massive, it's imposing, and it's built entirely around a void. The very first thing the source text draws our attention to is an absence, a deliberate, constructed absence. The king has built a fortress, an entire reality, specifically designed to prevent him from ever catching a glimpse of his own reflection.
Part 1. The Castle of Echoes.
Now look closely at the explicit connection here between power and denial. The king does not believe in them. A man of power needs no confirmation of his face. On the surface, that sounds like ultimate confidence, right? But the source reveals the exact opposite. It establishes this psychological fortress as a place of overwhelming pride and really willful ignorance. His entire sense of self relies absolutely on the illusion of power to actively avoid self-reflection. I mean, think about it. If he truly had power, a simple piece of glass wouldn't be a threat.
And here's exactly how that fragile ego survives. He knows his face. He has been told his face by every courtier paid to find it admirable. So the crucial point is that the king's identity is completely outsourced. It's constructed by the validation of sycophants. He lives in a literal echo chamber, surrounded by paid courtiers who reflect back only what he demands to see. This represents a totally false external reality. It's a self built not on truth, but on transactions.
There's an incredibly stark contrast at play here. On one side, you have the high social persona, the king's face built by paid courtiers, this admirable, supposedly powerful facade. And on the other side, you have the true face waiting in the mirror. This brilliantly illustrates the tension between the mask we wear for society and the hidden insecurity lurking beneath. As you can probably guess, the wider the gap between these two faces, the higher the walls of the castle must be to protect the illusion.
Part 2. The Impossible Threshold.
And yet, here is a mirror. Just let that hang in the air for a second. After all the effort, all the paid courtiers, all the banned looking glasses, the absolute truth intrudes anyway. It's an unavoidable physical and psychological roadblock. This simple object completely shatters the castle of lies simply by existing. So, what does this all mean? It raises a profound Socratic question. What remains of a king when the courtiers finally fall silent? When the external applause stops and the societal validation just vanishes, what is actually left? This really forces us to question the very foundation of the heroic ideal. True strength isn't about commanding others to tell you how great you are. It's about what remains of your identity when you're stripped completely bare of all that external noise. Look at how the source describes this mirror, standing in the corridor as though it has always stood here. This isn't just a piece of furniture that someone smuggled in. It takes on a surreal, almost metaphysical nature. It represents a sudden flash of self-awareness that seems to transcend time and space entirely. It feels eternal because the truth it represents has always been there, just waiting patiently in the dark, as though it was here before the corridor, as though the corridor was built around it. Honestly, this is perhaps the most mind-blowing realization in the text. The truth of the self precedes the corridors of the ego. The king didn't just build a castle. He built a labyrinth specifically around this unchangeable truth, desperately trying to wall it off. The societal facades we construct are really just elaborate architecture designed to hide the mirror that was always right there at the center.
So what exactly is this threshold? It's the specific moment a traveler is forced to see themselves as they truly are, marking the boundary between ignorance and sudden self-awareness. This is absolutely crucial. It's the critical, psychological, and mythological boundary. You literally cannot progress. You cannot achieve any true growth until you cross this line. You either stand at the threshold and look, or you retreat back into the echoes.
Part 3. Escaping the cave. Now, the source material makes a really important clarification here. The mirror at the threshold is not a thing of glass and silver backing. It's older than that. We are dealing with an ancient archetype. It represents an unavoidable confrontation with reality, a profound tradition of examining the nature of the self that transcends any physical object. And this concept? It spans all of human history. We see it way back in 375 BC with Plato's cave, turning from those comforting shadows on the wall to the blinding truth of reality. We see it again in 53 AD with Paul's letter to the Corinthians, examining the transition from seeing things dimly to seeing them face to face. Fast forward to 1794 with Fichte's dialectic on how the self becomes aware of itself. This Socratic inquiry into true identity is literally woven through the foundational texts of Western philosophy and theology.
Part 4. Through the Dark Glass. This tension right here is the core of the dark glass. It contrasts seeing yourself as you believe you are against who you actually are. The sources suggest that even our virtues can be a false self-perception, a moral facade. Sometimes, what we call justice is really just a mask for resentment, allowing us to maintain a high social persona while hiding our shadow. Through this mirror of justice, it's revealed that those who claim the moral high ground are often bound by the exact same shadow as the criminal they judge. They're just indulging in aggression under the guise of righteousness. It's a tough pill to swallow for sure.
Part 5. The mask finally cracks. As the source concludes, this is the moment before the journey truly begins. The mask simply has to crack. To step forward, one must abandon the little reason of the ego, which is often just a plaything, and listen to the great reason of their true nature. It requires acknowledging the unknown sage residing in your blood, recognizing the body as the true mighty ruler of the self. True growth demands stepping away from inherited myths and becoming the architect of your own meaning. That's the ultimate transformation. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Have you stepped through your own dark glass? Have you become your own internal judge, saying a holy yea to your true nature and embracing amor fati, the love of your fate? When we stop being breakers of tablets and instead become architects of our own meaning, we move from seeing a muddy river within ourselves to finding wild lilies blooming right there in our own abyss. The truth of who you are is already there, waiting in the corridor. The only question is, when will you finally stop and look? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and until next time, keep seeking the truth.